It is a Pittsburgh Sports Live quickie here on Pittsburgh Sports Live's YouTube channel and Pittsburgh Hockey Now. Hi, I'm Dan Kingerski. It's from the Beaver County Auto Studios. They'll make a Beaver believer out of you. Real quick, let's take a look at the Pittsburgh Penguins lines. We've got 4.5 lines to take a look at real quickly here because we got the first line now, the newfangled Guentzel, Crosby, and Rust line. Now, they put Brian Rust on this top line because, A, Guentzel and Crosby had been driving about 60% of the shots and scoring chances, but not really hitting the stat sheet. In fact, Sidney Crosby, no goals in his first 6 games. They add Brian Rust because Crosby and Hornquist, their chemistry comes and it goes. Largely, it goes. The worst kept secret, I think, around the Penguins is that Crosby doesn't enjoy playing with Hornquist, but does it quite dutifully. Don't get the wrong impression that Crosby complains. Hornquist goes to the net to create space. A lot of times Crosby wants to play with the puck down low and is looking for a partner. He and Guentzel are getting chances. Crosby and Guentzel getting the chances. They haven't yet converted, at least for number 87. That line, don't worry too much about. Rust is there to go get the puck and try to make something happen for the other two. Now, the second line, you're well familiar with Hagelin, Malkin, and Phil Kessel. No, you don't bother looking at advanced stats for this line, do you? They'll never be much more than 50% in terms of Corsi, in terms of scoring chances, even in terms of high-danger scoring chances. There's only so much Carl Hagelin can do to go get the puck for the other two. It's how they choose to play with it. However, despite some pretty poor advanced stats, they put the puck in the net. That's what Mike Sullivan likes to say. They can have 17 bad shifts. On the 18th one, the red light is lit. No, I don't really like Malkin and Kessel. I'd like to see better play on that second line from the center and the right wing, but the Penguins, at least in October and going into November, will be content. So we kind of leave that alone as well. Now we get to the third line, which is, this is where the Penguins' issues have kind of begun to spring up a little bit. Dominik Simon, Derick Brassard, and Patrick Hornquist. Now, through the first several games of the season, this line was a solid Corsi line. We're talking 60%. However, they'd been outscored. Dominik Simon has made some bad plays. Patrick Hornquist isn't necessarily complimenting Derick Brassard quite the way Brassard would like, quite the way Hornquist would like. They're a bit of a jumbled mess at times, trying to find their way. Simon, his game gets too big for himself every now and then, and that's when mistakes happen. The Penguins, I think, are still looking to settle that third line. Then we get to the fourth line before we really start to hit the analysis of this. As we sit here in later October, Sheahan's been moved to the left wing, Matt Cullen at center, and, well, there's Patrick Hornquist. Let me get the right fourth line, because that's 4A. Now here's the real fourth line, Sheahan, Cullen, and Daniel Sprong. What do the Penguins do? Because Sheahan and Cullen have been worth their weight, especially putting Cullen at center. His speed, his playmaking ability, his forecheck, everything about Cullen just fits into the Penguins' scheme. He is an infinitely better center for the Penguins than Riley Sheahan. And so the Penguins were wise to shift Sheahan over to the left wing. And in fact, against Toronto last Thursday, you saw Sheahan use his size and his strength come off the wall against that weaker Toronto defense, scoring chances. You saw Cullen skating, setting up plays. In fact, in the first period, he even sprung a couple of times. That brings us to the 4A line, however. Because Simone and Sprong are, how should we put it, not defensively responsible at this point, Sprong far more defensively irresponsible or difficult in a close game to keep Sprong in the lineup. Let's just be blunt. The coaches have no confidence from the middle of the second period through the end of the game that they can count on Sprong for good minutes. So what they do is they created the shutdown line. SCH. Shutdown line. This line was absolutely a rock star against Toronto. There's no reason to think it won't continue to be a rock star against Edmonton, against Vancouver, against anyone. Because you've got the size and strength on the wall of Sheahan and Hornquist. Cullen has no qualms about playing the simple game, cycling, looking to get that puck to the net, and that's where Hornquist really then excels, when just dirty, gritty, simple hockey. You have to like that line a whole lot. So there's where the Penguins stand in terms of their 4.5 lines. Things are finally looking up for the Penguins, straight up. They've got it as right as they can get it right now until they solve the whole Daniel Sprong issue. And then after that, then you start solving the Dominik Simon issue. And no, Sprong is not better than Dominik Simon. No matter how much you want it to be, Sprong can't get into that top 9 or top 6 or even on the top line until he begins to play better hockey in his 8.5, 9 minutes on the fourth line. Here's kind of the misnomer, and we'll go an extra minute here just to kind of dive into this topic just a wee little bit. The fourth line plays the same scheme and the same hockey as the first line. So it's not a shift in thinking when Sprong is on the ice as a fourth liner compared to when he's on the ice as a first liner. He's got to prove he can do it against lesser competition because the fourth line doesn't go checking the top line anymore. Fourth lines play the opposing fourth line. Sprong has to prove he can do it against the inferior competition before he gets bumped up to greater competition. So you might see him take some more shifts beside Derick Brassard while the Penguins create that shutdown line, and maybe that'll give Sprong a little bit of a boost here going forward. So it's game on. The Penguins' 4-game road trip continues in Edmonton tonight. They've got Vancouver in a couple days as well, and I think we'll know a lot more after these next couple games. From the Beaver County Auto Studios, I'm Dan Kingerski. We'll talk again soon.